Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Boxing Source here, and we are live with a great man here that has been with us as far as like a guest for the Boxing Source on multiple occasions over the years. I'm glad to have him back on once again. The president of the Salita Promotions, Mr. Dmitry Salita. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to be back on.
Right. Now I know that as always, you're busy and have a lot of things going on. Wanted to start off with what's going on in a certain division, the heavyweight division. I know that last weekend, one of your fighters was in a big fight against Dylan White over in the UK that went 12 rounds, and a lot of people were upset about the decision because they felt like Jermaine Franklin did what he needed to do in order to win that fight, but two of the judges gave 8 rounds to Dylan White for him to have that majority decision. So, what were your thoughts about that fight?
First of all, Jermaine did a great job, and I'm very happy that the fans and the boxing media called it what it was and spoke the truth. And I'm very supportive of Jermaine and the incredible job that he's done in the ring on November 26th against Dillian White. Really unheralded and unheard of. 12-1 underdog. Went to a place far away from home, thousands of miles away. Fought on a big stage in the main event at Wembley on the Zone against one of the best heavyweights in the world in Dillian White, and did an incredible job. So I'm very proud of Jermaine, and he won the fight. The judges didn't see it that way. Actually, it's funny because the British judge is the one that had the draw, and the other two did not. So obviously, things happen, and there's a long tradition of fighters going overseas and not getting the decision. That was prime example of it. However, I feel like Jermaine cemented himself as one of the best heavyweights in the world with that performance, really beating a top heavyweight in Dillian White. So I think bigger onto upwards and onwards for Jermaine. Again, very happy with his performance, and looking forward to a great future for him and a great 2023.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the boxing fans were surprised about the performance there of Jermaine Franklin and what he was able to do in the ring. He was very active with his hands, really keeping Dylan White honest over the course of those 12 rounds. And, once they had seen that fight, you really had a lot of positive messages for Jermaine Franklin. And he appreciated all of those positive messages and wanted to get right back at it. One of the things I kind of like said was, with that performance, you probably get like more people to demand to see more of Jermaine Franklin, and also maybe that you, Dimitri, could be getting some phone calls to see about setting up Jermaine Franklin in some fights in the near future.
There's not a lot of very good American heavyweights. Deontay Wilder, Jermaine Franklin is number two. Jared Anderson, still a prospect, very talented, but the jury's out on him. So I feel with that fight, Jermaine cemented himself as the second best American heavyweight, and that's really incredible from Saginaw, Michigan. As you know, we've been doing a lot of work in the state of Michigan with our Detroit Brawl series, and Jermaine is another guy from this rich state that's showing he's got the skills to compete with at the very top of the game with the best fighters in the world. So yeah, a very bright future for Jermaine. Eddie Hearn talked about him being Joshua's next opponent, which is interesting, although I don't know if it'll happen. The best thing to happen for both fighters is if Dillian White fights Jermaine Franklin. He said that first he said he won the fight. Now he said that he wasn't feeling well. That he had a bicep injury,
Hmm.
and a hurt arm. So, different excuses, which just goes to show you that as days go by, Dillian White is accepting the fact that it was a subpar performance from him and that he didn't win the fight. That's what. So I think that the rematch is a really big fight in heavyweight boxing and will draw a lot of interest, a lot of subscribers to the zone, a lot of viewers, wherever it will turn out to be live. So yeah, overall a great performance for Jermaine, and onwards and upwards for this American Saginaw, Michigan heavyweight.
Yeah. You were talking about the thing there with Dylan White, say that he had a hurt bicep, and he was talking about this. He was talking about being with a new trainer and all that type of stuff. But like you said, man, you make all those excuses. That means hey, you weren't all that confident that you really won that fight. It looks like so. Why not, run it again with Jermaine Franklin? Because for me, I mean, I don't feel like that was something where Joshua would probably go after Dylan White. I mean, maybe he could go after Jermaine Franklin if you get that phone call from Eddie Hearn about that or something. But like you said, the best thing could be for both of those guys to fight each other once again.
Yeah, Joshua versus Dylan White, to me as a boxing fan, does not make any sense. It's not an interesting fight. Coming off of that performance, it wasn't very interesting to me. It wasn't very exciting. There isn't any drama in that fight. It's two guys coming off subpar performances, so that's not interesting to me as a fan. Dylan White has some unfinished business, and he has to handle that business with Jermaine Franklin.
Gotcha. Now, I know that there's one other fighter that's in the heavyweight division that you have that, what was it, about a couple years ago that could have been in a position to fight Dylan White but wasn't able to, and that's Otto Wallin. And, I've been, waiting to see Otto Wallin to be put in a position to, have a fairly high caliber fight. I know that there's a string of heavyweights that have kind of like fought over the past few months or so, whether it's like you have a Deontay Wilder, you might have a few other guys that are out there in the heavyweight division, like Andy Ruiz that might be, either fight Deontay Wilder or could fight someone like Otto Wallin. So what's like an update for Otto Wallin potentially there in 2023?
Well, Eddie Hearn and I have been speaking about Otto fighting Anthony Joshua next, and we spoke about it actually even at the fight, and he said that Joshua would kind of make up his mind this week as to who he would fight, but I have not heard anything from Eddie about that. So obviously we're very interested in the fight with Otto Wallin and Anthony Joshua. I think that'll be quite intriguing and very interesting. But nothing happened on that front, so I'm not sure, if that will. But we're planning for something for Otto anyway. Maybe he'll fight before the end of the year, just kind of a stay busy fight, and we'll look for something bigger and better early next year.
Gotcha. Now, you have other heavyweights there under Salita Promotions, which include Jarrell Big Baby Miller, and also gentleman George Arias that, we've kind of like talked about a couple of times. I've seen George Arias live over in New York during that Boxing Hall of Fame weekend where he scored a big win over there. So, that undefeated fighter is, also still looking to, get himself in position for some good fights too. So any updates on either Jarrell Miller or George Arias?
Working to get a meaningful fight for Jarrell because of his suspension, to be quite honest with you, it's more difficult to get the TV network to give him a shot. But he wants to fight the best and the bigger names. So, we'll see if that can happen. I also have Moses Johnson, who had a win on Showbox October 21st against fellow undefeated fighter, and Kalbin Christensen, also undefeated heavyweight from Iceland, trained by Sugar Hill. So heavyweight boxing is like a different sport in a way because there's so much interest in it, and I'm very grateful to represent some of the best in the division. Jarrell, certainly, if he can get a shot back, will be a big name in the division, and it will make a lot of noise, I believe. But he needs his opportunity. And Otto versus Joshua makes a lot of sense because Otto wants to secure a rematch with Tyson Fury, and Anthony Joshua wants to have a fight with Tyson Fury as well, so he can say that he did better, and Otto can say I beat your rival. So it's a fight that makes a lot of sense for the public, and both of them have stories going into that fight. So that's why I feel it's very interesting for both.
Yeah, gotcha. Now, shout out to those that are currently listening live. I got someone on the comment section there. Tony's review says, the last time I saw Salita, he threw a shot at Dylan White. My hats off to him for balls.
Thank you.
Dylan White.
Yes. So what happened was we were after the press conference. They were staring at each other, and I was standing next to Jermaine, and he pushed me, so I pushed him back, man. So I Dylan White is obviously a lot bigger and stronger than me, but I don't get bullied, man. You know what I mean? You push me, I'm gonna push you back, no matter how big you are. So I just it was just instinctive. I grew up boxing. I felt it was a bully move, and I responded. I responded like kids that used to take lunch money from me and my food when I went to public school. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Like, yeah, you ain't taking
I'm
my
from Brooklyn,
lunch,
baby.
buddy. Yeah, exactly. You ain't taking my lunch, buddy.
No.
Shout out to that there from Tony Reviews on the live chat. Also from the live chat there, Otto Pennant says that a potential fight for Jermaine Franklin could be against Derek Chisora. He says Jermaine Franklin versus Derek Chisora would be fireworks.
Yeah, I like it. That sounds very interesting. That's a very great. That's a great fight. I agree with you. And obviously, depending on how it goes on Saturday night, but yeah, that's a very good fight for Jermaine. And I think that the British boxing fans will take a liking to it.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, of course, Derek Chisora is taking on the Gypsy King Tyson Fury on Saturday in Tottenham Stadium over in the UK. So yeah, definitely looking forward to all of that. Now, also you have a fighter in Nikolai Potapov, I think it is, that has a bout coming up December 17th at the Cosmopolitan, I think it is in Las Vegas. There against Vincent Ashalabio. That is a big fight there in that particular division. For me, would a win over Ashalabio have Potapov on track for like a world title shot in 2023? Because it could be very well possible that you could have a vacant title or something like that available at that division next year.
Yeah, that fight is for the vacant for the mandatory position in IBF. And Inawi is fighting soon this weekend. And if he wins, either he vacates the title or the winner of that fight is gonna be mandatory towards him. So it's a very significant fight in the bantamweight division. And Nikolai has fought in the United States many times. Very excited about this opportunity, getting ready and prepared, and is gonna put on a great show on December 17th. I'm very excited about this fight.
Yeah, for sure. That is going to be, part of a big card up there on that particular date that should be shown live on Showtime there. So you do have that, and also with one of your other fighters that could be in a key position there is Shohjahon Ergashev.
I also want to say that on that card we have Vladimir Shishkin, who's super weight, fighting for the mandatory for the IBF number 2 position. Against Jose Oscariki. That's a great fight. That's a co-feature on that show. I'm very excited about that possibility. Again, Vladimir, I believe, trained by Sugar Hill, has been living in Detroit for the last 3 years. Maybe one of the best hidden secrets in the super middleweight division. And, he'll have a chance to prove himself on December 17th. And that's a mandatory to Canelo's title, so it's a big deal.
Gotcha. So you have like a couple of fighters there that'll be, featured there on Showtime there. That's part of that Frank Martin versus Michelle Rivera card there that's on Showtime, presented by Premier Boxing Champions. One other suggestion for Jermaine Franklin here by Adari Pennant is Jermaine Franklin versus Kubrat Pulev.
Yeah, I like that fight as well. That's a great one. Kubrat, obviously lost to Chisora. Seems to be on a little downslide in his career. However, still a big name, a very good fighter, and I think that's very interesting. If I would have a TV deal, an exclusive TV deal, where like Eddie and PBC and Bob Arum, I would have a budget, then I can work off of it. But I have to work with everybody, and I think the key to success for the fighters and for boxing fans is that you have to work with every promoter. Promoters have to work with each other. We have to be inclusive, not exclusive, because when you're exclusive, the fighters don't get the opportunities that they deserve, and the fans, most importantly, don't get the fights that they want to see, and the sport doesn't grow. And there's a lot of drama and people talking back and forth, but the fights don't get made. So I feel the sport has to be inclusive, not exclusive, and we have to figure out a way for it to work. And I'm very fortunate that I have a working relationship with all the big promoters, and we've been able to make these fights.
Yeah, you have, kind of like pointed that out, that you have those working relationships with, other promoters, whether it's, those that are having those network deals or, those that, may be able to have something else going on that could be on a separate network or, provided like what I would say, like a different type of television distribution or online distribution to where you could put your fighters in position for those fights that build them up and bring them up in the contention in those specific divisions.
Correct. Clarissa fought on Sky in October, also in the UK at the O2 Arena. Jermaine fought at Wembley. That was on the zone. Both 2 trips to London, different broadcasters, competitors. But for my fighters, these were the best opportunities, and we made the best fights. And I'm grateful that both of them turned out well in their own individual, unique ways.
Gotcha. Now, you do have, like I said, one fighter there in the super lightweight division, Shohjahon Ergashev. Um, have you heard anything recently from the IBF in reference to that vacant title situation?
Well, so that fight is going to happen, and then Ergashev is going to fight for the mandatory to that title against the highest available contender. That's the plan. And again, Ergashev is, to me, one of the hardest punchers in boxing, one of the best fighters in the junior welterweight division. And the only way a real champion would fight him is if he's the mandatory. So that's the route that we're taking. And boxing fans, many know him. He has 2+ million followers on Instagram, but yet many are yet to have known him, to find out about him. But he's a very exciting fighter and is gonna wreak havoc in the junior welterweight division.
Gotcha. Now, real quick, before I go into my next thing here, got another suggestion from Tony's Reviews. He says that he thinks that the biggest fight for Franklin would be against Jared Anderson. Beating Jared Anderson would set him up for fights like against Daniel Dubois, Philip Hergovich, or maybe Otto Wallin. I don't know if you would work to have those two guys fighting. And Jared Anderson isn't really proven, but has a huge following. Now, with him, he has a fight coming up against Jerry Forrest. That's going to be next Saturday over in Madison Square Garden. So he's there undefeated. They're saying he's one of those rising prospects there in the heavyweight division. So you could have, maybe Jermaine Franklin potentially fighting Jared Anderson.
I like Jared Anderson. He's very talented. I've seen him in the gym up close and personal at the Clown Gym in Detroit. I like him a lot. He's very talented. Yeah, and a fight between him and Jermaine certainly would be between two top American. I think Jermaine is a little more advanced than he is, but it's a fight down the line to be explored. And boxing thrives on when the best fight the best, and that's the fights that we want to make, and it's possible for sure.
Gotcha. Now, for my last couple of topics there, I wanted to see about venturing into the super middleweight division. I think it is in women's boxing. I think you have Christina Hammer. That's there. That's been at middleweight and now at super middleweight. Is there like potentially a shot that she could be, potentially fighting for a world title? I know you had the undisputed champion there, Franchon Cruz-Azurna, and I think that Franchon has talked about potentially fighting Christina Hammer sometime next year, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting fight. I don't have anything to do with either one of those fighters, but it's a great fight. And I'll watch.
Yeah, that could be, like I said, that could be something there, but we'll see how that goes. And also, you did mention the thing there with Clarissa Shields that we talked about that in the last conversation with her. Big win over Savannah Marshall to once again become undisputed middleweight champion of the world. And like I said, over the course of time, we talked about her being in a position to be a high paid fighter there, but also, with this win, she, is, trying to build more, what I'm saying, as a superstar. So is there other plans or some plans for her in 2023?
Yeah, it's possible that we're going to come back to England for another fight, maybe against Jonas or against Harper, and then a possible Savannah Marshall rematch may also happen. Clarissa has some incredible things planned for next year outside of boxing that are going to propel her popularity to the next level. She's a real bona fide superstar in the making that's just starting to touch that superstar status. So I'm very excited about her possibilities and looking forward to a great next year with her.
Gotcha. Now, once again, shout out to those that are watching live and participating in the live chat. Shout out to D1 in the live chat that I talk with over on the Wires podcast. That's there with Coach Squeeze, Senior Kenny, and Coach Calvin Ford. He says that the boxing source is here to repost something like I'm Debo. He thinking I look like Debo from Friday, man. It's always a time when I'm there on the Rise podcast. So thanks D1 for joining in live. And brother Dmitry, I'm not sure if you have like anything else that's on the horizon there for Salita Promotions, but if you do have something, feel free to let the people know.
Yeah, I just want to drop a couple of names for the fight fans to look at. Ali Ismailov, I feel, is the best light heavyweight prospect in the world, contender. Really believe that he has potential to be a dominant force in the division. Then we have also Joseph Hicks, who's a U.S. Olympic team captain. He's still 4-0, young in his career, but someone to look forward to. Josh Pagan, national champion from Michigan as well, young junior welterweight. So we're working on some great things for next year, and look forward to coming back to the Boxing Source, talking boxing. I love boxing, and telling you about our fights and our plans, and announcing some great events.
Gotcha. Without question. So, as always, I thank you, Dmitry Salita, for taking the time to join us here on the Boxing Source. And, for those that want to catch up on Dmitry Salita, you could go on to social media. He's on Instagram. He's on Twitter. They have the YouTube channel on Salita Promotions. You can also follow Salita Promotions on Instagram and on Twitter. So you will be able to keep up with what's going on with Salita Promotions.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Look forward to coming back on. Thanks, man. Thank you, guys. Thank you to fans.
Thanks, everyone. All right.
All right.